Ah, yes, the Nintendo Switch. The beautiful system that we had for 8 years. And let's just do a quick review about the console once again before the Nintendo Switch 2 releases. Let's get into it. Okay, so the Nintendo Switch has a lot to offer, and I think that this is a great example of you don't need power to have fun with great games. We had this console for roughly 8 years, and I think that this is a perfect example of that because most of the games on Nintendo Switch run and look really nice because, Nintendo knows how to put games on there and, make them look good. Now, the Nintendo Switch itself, the concept was amazing, spectacular. Back in 2017, when we didn't have too many hybrid consoles like we do now, or even handhelds, Nintendo was the king of handhelds. And it showed because we got a console that truly is special, the Nintendo Switch. Now, the Switch itself had so many fantastic games, the biggest library of Nintendo games. And let me tell you, this library is one of those that you really look at and you're like, wow, this is how you make a console. And it is, because the Switch games are really fantastic. And some of them I think are underrated. Some of them I think they're pretty good. And some of them are absolutely amazing. We can look at a game like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Sound familiar? Well, this game is the most sold game on the system, and with over 68 million units sold, that right there truly is a masterpiece. And maybe this is why we got Mario Kart World as the game for Nintendo Switch 2, because this is a very great thing. Now, the Switch itself had so much to offer in game wise, but when you went over to look at features, well, let's just say it was a little bit of a downgrade from the 3DS or even the Wii U. Without having eShop music, without having any of that, no themes, no customization, no nothing. On the more basic software side of things, it wasn't the biggest upgrade. It wasn't the biggest, it was a little bit of a letdown because how many of you wanted to change up how the menu looks with either themes or put all the games in a folder, sort them out, or maybe even use screenshots from in-game and use them as a wallpaper? Nintendo Switch was overall a little bit of a downgrade from the Wii U or 3DS. The 3DS was perfect with the ability to take your games, slap them in a folder, there you go. Put themes, music, and the 3DS eShop was great. Arguably, the Wii U eShop is the greatest eShop that we've got so far. But I think the Switch really let us down in that front. The Wii U eShop was a great eShop because not only did it allow you to sort out the games, but it wasn't that light like the Switch eShop that is very messy and buggy. But I'm not here to slam on the eShop and the software standpoint that really makes it I'm here to say the games, the console itself, really are a masterpiece, and we see that in the Nintendo Switch 2. We pretty much got everything we wanted from a Nintendo console because of the Nintendo Switch 1's power limitation. The Switch 2 really enhances on that. So now that is fantastic. So you could go back to play your favorite games on a Nintendo platform. Now, the Switch itself is honestly, I think, is the greatest thing ever. Now, I did originally really like the original Nintendo Switch UI. But now we got a Switch 2 UI on Switch 1, which is a little bit of a bummer now that we had this UI for so long, not changed. Didn't want to add themes, didn't want to allow you to customize it yourself. Just stayed like that for 8 years, which is, hey, I mean, it's pretty interesting. The online support for Nintendo Switch was very supported, and I bet it'll be even more supported on Nintendo Switch 2. some supports that were included was Fortnite, that really did show the gaming world that, wow, okay, so if the Switch can run this game, I mean, the support is there. Now, some games, the Nintendo Switch wasn't running the highest fidelity, but still, it overall is a pretty great masterpiece, and I think that Nintendo fans across the world will know that the Nintendo Switch was a massive success. Absolutely massive. Even though you weren't a biggest fan of either the UI, the power, or maybe some games, you gotta say that this is truly a system of gaming, like a nice gaming system. You can take it anywhere you want. You can just have a great time with it. And overall, I think that this is a great console. Now, back in 2017, when the Switch originally launched, we got a couple games which made the lineup of games really enhanced and pretty great. Now, it all started off with Breath of the Wild, originally a Wii U game ported to Nintendo Switch, which I think that Breath of the Wild on Nintendo Switch is the best way to play, because you can take it anywhere you want. If you wanted to go on an airplane, you could play Breath of the Wild there. It overall took the gaming industry by storm, and it still does to this day. Now, every single game that originally released with the Nintendo Switch, may that be first party, may that be third party, may that be second party or indie, it is a great thing to see on this console, because unlike a PlayStation or Xbox, you're not stuck at home while playing games. You can take your save file, your games, your data, wherever you want, and that's what makes the Nintendo Switch so special, like actually special. And I have no doubt about it that the Nintendo Switch 2 will be just as special because of being able to go anywhere you want with your games, unpause it from sleep mode, and continue playing it right where you left off. That right there is really what makes the hybrid consoles work so seamlessly. You don't need the most powerful thing. You need just fun. And the Nintendo Switch really proved you that. All the games that come out on year one were banger after banger after banger, because the Nintendo Switch itself had so many bangers that you probably didn't know what to do with. We had games like Mario Odyssey, The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild for Nintendo Switch. We even had games like Splatoon 2, and so many other games that you really look at and you're like, this was a great year for Nintendo. Now, the games on the system itself really are special, and throughout the years of Nintendo Switch, we could say that the games just kind of kept getting better and better and better. And some of them funnier, some of them more exciting, some of them just like, hey, who knows? This game is great, right? But overall, throughout it all, the Nintendo Switch was pretty much there as a balance between console gaming and handheld gaming. Because sure, it didn't run the greatest on AAA games like Hogwarts Legacy or Batman Arkham's Trilogy or whatever. Any third-party game, it wasn't the best. But what it did have, it had a middle ground for Nintendo players to try out games that they aren't really accustomed to seeing on their platform. Like, it really draws that balance, because what if you didn't have multiple consoles and you don't want to get multiple consoles? You want one console to play all your games. Well, the Switch 1 did that for you. And now that we're getting the Nintendo Switch 2 in just a couple of days, that right there is special. Being able to do that is really amazing, because now it gives Nintendo fans the chance to have one console and play pretty much every AAA game out there. So overall, a big bonus there. They learned from the Switch and made things even better. Now, the Switch was a big advocate for ports. Now, we did get a lot of ports during this console generation, and Nintendo knew that Well, I mean, we can just resell our games because they would make money because, there was no backwards compatible for the 3DS or Wii U. So that's what they did. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was a port. We also got Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which was a port. I think that some of these games really are great, and they did deserve a port on the system because, once again, you can go anywhere you want. You can have fun with anything that you wanted, and that is perfect. So overall, looking back at the Nintendo Switch, I would still say that this truly is one of those fantastic consoles. Not only for the game, but the features and everything it gave you. It was just the console of dreams. The console that you can give anyone, anywhere, and just have fun with it. And that right there is perfect. Throughout the years, the updates that we've got were pretty interesting. Some updates would make it so one feature that was free before, you had to pay for, like playing games online. In the first couple of years for the Nintendo Switch, you were able to play games for free online. Until all of a sudden they decide to make the online application a paid for feature. And that overall wasn't the greatest idea because that left Nintendo fans wondering why. Why this is actually a thing. Paying to play online? You're already paying to play games. Why are you paying to play online? Or overall, they gave us the option to play Nintendo Entertainment System and Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Nowadays, for the price that you're paying, that subscription service is totally worth it. Not only do you get the NES, the SNES, also the N64, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy, the Sega Genesis, and now the GameCube. You also get DLCs for certain games, like the 2 DLCs for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is fantastic. You also get Splatoon DLC and Animal Crossing New Horizon DLC, and for the Nintendo Switch 2, you also get Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. So overall, that system really made it make sense to have a Nintendo subscription service in a way. Now, maybe it wasn't for you. Maybe it wasn't for everyone. But at least Nintendo was showing, well, if we gotta make money somehow by making people pay to play online, might as well give them something in return. And give them something in return they did. The news tab on Nintendo Switch was also pretty interesting. About every single day, you would get some more news about whatever game you were really interested in. And that made for a funny looking news tab. Some news tab for the games that you did like. It was cluttered. Some of them, if it was more diverse, it was more diverse. And it showed whatever news. You can click on whatever news. You can look at news that you wanted to know. And you're like, okay, so I'm going to go and jump back into the game. Overall, really interesting. The photo album was awesome. For some reason, I cluttered my entire photo album. I thought that taking pictures in games was honestly really exciting. Really, really fun as well. Because you can just open up the photo album and look at them later. If you wanted to take a picture of your entire adventure like I did in Tears of the Kingdom, well, you can do that as well. It's your photo album, so you can have whatever fun you want to do in that photo album. And overall, having different pictures to your name is really, really interesting. Now that you see the entire story, that maybe when you're in the car or something, you don't feel like playing the game, you just want to watch a movie, well, there you go. You got your entire photo album to just do that for you, which is really interesting. I thought that was the greatest thing, honestly. I love pictures, and I wish that the pictures that you take in-game were able to use as background. That was the one thing for me that Nintendo Switch really didn't do it justify at doing. Allowing you to take pictures in-game and using them as a background, kind of like the Xbox and maybe even the PlayStation 4, is pretty exciting because, you want to feel that customization. But for the Switch, unfortunately, we didn't get that. But maybe the Switch 2, when it rolls around, with a couple updates in the next year or month, maybe we can get some cool photo bombs that you can use inside of your home screen or maybe application or something. Overall, photos aren't the biggest thing here. The controllers also had a unique option where if you just so happen to lose your controller, well, good news, you can find your controller and make it do this. Which is awesome because not only does it show you where your controller is that you can't actually lose your controller. So great, isn't it? It's so great. The settings icon was a little bit of a letdown because you couldn't customize anything and it just looked like a barren wasteland, but overall, it's still pretty interesting. And I think that the Nintendo Switch, 8 years later, truly is a masterpiece of a system with so much to offer and so much to do. And now that we're getting the Switch 2, that is going to carry on its legacy. Being able to play Switch games on Switch 2, being able to have fun with essentially anything you want is great. And this Nintendo Switch truly is a special console when it comes to all of that. Yes, Nintendo Switch. Wow, what an absolute amazing journey it has been. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you consider to look back at Nintendo Switch and say, dang, this was a good console. Really, really great console. Anyways, I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope that you have a great day, a fantastic day, a great day. Consider to hit the like button, maybe subscribing if you want to. Help me reach the goal of, I'm not sure, 2,000 subscribers. Anyways, thanks a lot. Hope you're just as excited as I am for Nintendo Switch 2. And also, maybe you want to stick around for the Nintendo Switch 2 full review. I got a lot of videos planned for the Nintendo Switch 2. A full review, Mario Kart stuff, Mario Kart World stuff, reviews of different games, GameCube, Zelda Wind Waker, maybe even Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. I'm pretty excited for those. I'm pretty excited for everything. So anyways, thanks again. Thanks a lot. Hope you have a great day. See you in the next one.